Welcome to my return to Gran Turismo Online Racing. This is through the newest half-assed attempt for Sony to get goodwill, aka the PlayStation free online weekend. Every other year they did 4 a year. This year it seems like they're only going to do 2. And this particular one only happened the day after they announced no more disc games after January 2028. So speaking of half-assed, is this racing, because as soon as it went live, and the earliest region there is as far as I know, is New Zealand, I went to race because New Zealand weekend happened earlier, so thus the PlayStation Online weekend starts earlier there. And with no practice whatsoever, I was awful at race speed, which was Group 4s at Mount Panorama. I'll say this, I'll be back to that race at some point. But then I went on to the race A, which is Toyota Yaris's, or Vits. I genuinely can't remember what they're calling these. I'll probably end up saying Yaris more, I think, because that's what they are in the US. Anyway, yeah, whatever you call it, no matter what, that's dirty. You can call the car whatever you want, but it started a race has been extremely dirty and typical restart to racing online. Way too much dirtiness, the ghosting system being inconsistent, and me getting penalized for getting ran off the fucking track. Already, it's been half a lap. The first time around, I'll admit, that was me with no practice. I was way too far back. But this time around, I literally had time to do 1 lap of practice. And that was enough, well, to get me here. So take that as you may. I backed out of the race that started at, like, whatever, 30, I think. So then this was the one at 40. And, well, yeah, now we're here. So, what's already happened is a whole heck of a chaos, to say the least, and me getting penalized for it. Hopefully some others got penalties too. But, I mean, as y'all saw there, that was even me still trying to be nice. I went to off the racing line to serve the penalty that I didn't even deserve, because I'm pretty sure it was the car with the wicked paint job that caused the majority of that chaos, but that's not the car directly behind me now. The car directly behind me now isn't exactly much cleaner, I'll put it like that. So that's not a good combination. Even though it was another car that was absolutely dirty, it's not like this car is being much better. But honestly, with me having barely any practice stuff this one, it's not like I'm going to be the dangerous driving either. I will admit that, but at least I'm not blatantly dirty. I don't know if you could outright call that car behind me blatantly dirty or just kind of aggressive, but still. I'll put it this way. This is by far a better combination for me to just jump in and do. I prefer the slower street cars better in general. I'm not all that bad at this track. Panorama I'm not necessarily bad at either, but I barely raced it at all since GT6, so I'm very rusty there. After a whole heck of a practice, I'm good there as I am at, like, here, or with Deep Forest, which are obviously becoming later in this round of Specialtatin as well. But what I need to focus on at the time being is driving, because I don't know if y'all noticed throughout the insane chaos at the beginning, but the car behind me dropped back to do a last to first challenge, so that's iffy. I didn't actually know that or realize it, whatever, at the time, but looking back at this, yeah, that car doing last to first. So, because every other car is being between slightly aggressive and outright dirty, I missed my braking mark a bit there, and that was not even me necessarily trying to let that car by. I just didn't want to get outright rammed, and if anything, I was slightly intimidated. But no, I didn't even realize that at the time. But if you go back and look at the very beginning, yeah, that car dropped back. But maybe that's for the best, because all things considered, I have some pretty clean racing room at the moment, so I will take it. Everybody's sort of kind of fanned out. As with the previous ran the PlayStation 3 online weekend, I'll edit stuff to make it as good a like racing as possible what's on the screen, but one of the reasons it's still selling that is because people are starting to drop like flies. Someone just left too. As of the last two of the last PlayStation 3 online weekend, as I said, but before there's two left. I said that before I knew there was going to be another online weekend. Those will be sprinkled in with these, so it doesn't get as repetitive. But yes, I will still do the final two Specialtatins for the last one of the last round of PlayStation 3 online weekend. But anyway, as I said, edited back to where the racing is good again. And that's really cotton picking good. Again, it's a little bit aggressive, but everybody's overall not outright wrecking each other. So considering what the beginning was, I'll call this clean compared to that. And lo and behold, doing last to first, it hadn't even got around either. So maybe, just maybe, I will have the racing skill to be able to do something. Maybe on a lap by lap basis, I ain't faster than that car directly ahead, but maybe I'll know racing lines and such to be able to do something. Granted, again, I haven't exactly practiced racing online in over 6 months, so yeah, no. I had way too much confidence there, and that is purely 100% my fault. There's no dirtiness or conspiracies or PD logic or anything there. That was just me not knowing how to race at the moment. Trust me, later on in Specialtatins I get better, but again, this is the very first race that I did. And I think this is like 3 a.m. as well, because that's how the regions work. So 3 a.m. my region would be midnight for New Zealand. So it's not like I'm the most focused either. That doesn't work day and at my time, but I want to jump in there literally as quickly as I could to get as much content as I could. And like with the last round of PlayStation round like weekend, this will be in chronological order. So as I do races, I'll theoretically get better. Of course, that depends on track and car combination. Theoretically, this is my best track and car combination, so also take that as you may. But also take it as you may of how many people got messed up in front. I would say that was probably more dirty driving than people outright messing up. That definitely was. I looked actually at the replay after that, and the car that is two ahead, so not the one directly, the one ahead of it, just outright rammed who was trying to do the last first challenge, actually had the fastest lap of the race at this point. Look at that, then, yeah. Completely off the track. So, I mean, I'll take it for my own sake, but I would rather all that be clean. What's even worse, though, is that car did not get a penalty, and it went off the track there, so both it has dirty tires, and we already know is notorious for wrecking people. We just saw that. So that's not a good combination for me, because I'm going to have momentum. It's the last lap, so everybody's going to be angrier, and that car I know will hit people. Luckily, it ran directly into me, and Gran Turismo ping physics happened up, and I didn't get a penalty. Hallelujah, as I shouldn't. What it essentially happened there is I stayed on the racing line because, again, that was one of those situations where I had to look back to see it was dirty, so I didn't realize that car was the one being dirty, but I knew it had dirty tires. I saw it go up. So I figured I could just stay on the racing line and get by anyway, but then it just outright turned into me. If you want to look back at the footage, you can see earlier on it did outright wreck the car to the last to first, and it just look at the radar, it just turned directly into me. So overall, that worked out extremely well, folks, and I was actually able to go to third place. It's extremely surprising with no practice whatsoever. Granted, a lot of that was more chaos around me than my own skill, but I will most certainly take that, especially if I can end up getting SR up and DR up, because this particular race A has those. I don't really care about it with this account, but let's see, folks. Yeah. Yeehaw!